From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening, Fairbanks, and thanks for joining us. Our top story tonight. Crews made progress yesterday and last night, holding the line against the Stewart Creek fire burning at Eielson Air Force Base and Chena Hot Springs Road. That's according to officials with the Joint Information Center.
Now, the human-caused fire that started June 25th has consumed close to 32,000 acres and continues to threaten some 220 residences and 26 outbuildings, all located in Two Rivers, Pleasant Valley, and Eielson. An incident command post has been set up at North Pole Elementary School, but officials have sent information officers around affected areas to answer questions and give other information to concerned citizens. Currently, a California-based National Interagency Incident Management Team has assumed command of the fire, which is expected to continue moving north and northwest. There is no evacuation in place at this time, but as an advisory continues to be in effect for areas along Chena Hot Springs Road from miles 14 to 32. Concerned citizens we spoke to say they're keeping watch on the fire and each other.
My concern is for friends and family members that are out here. I want to make sure that everybody's safe, and if I can do something to help friends, then I would like to.
I've been calling people because I don't have access to online, so I've just been calling friends who do and getting information. So right now we're just all preparing for an evacuation, and just everybody's checking up on their neighbors and making sure everybody's okay, and that if there's any needs, we're all just helping each other out.
An information meeting on the Stewart Creek fire is scheduled for Saturday evening at 6 p.m. at the Pleasant Valley Community Center in Two Rivers. Fire management officials say they'll provide an update of the fire and answer questions from concerned citizens.
Firefighters working on the Skinny's Road fire off of the Parks Highway today are penetrating farther into the core of the burned area, hunting down scattered hot spots and extinguishing them. Teams of fallers are cutting down smoking trees and dangerous snags, a safety measure for the firefighters. The burned area remains at just over 1,800 acres and is 80% contained. At midnight on Thursday, the roadblocks and pilot cars staffed by Alaska Department of Transportation were removed from the Parks Highway. More than 320 firefighters are working on the Skinny's Road fire today.
Motorists traveling in the vicinity of the Taylor Highway will be met with road closures in that area due to a fatal traffic accident at milepost 10. That is according to an advisory released earlier today by the Alaska Department of Transportation. Circumstances surrounding the accident involving a motorcycle are unknown at this time, but the closure is expected to last into the late evening and possibly early Saturday morning hours. DOT officials say the Taylor Highway will be closed from the Alaska Highway to milepost 15 and was made at the request of the Alaska State Troopers.
Sources close to the news center say a North Pole woman critically injured June 29th in an ATV accident near Delta Junction has died. They say Carla Converse passed away Wednesday evening around 6:10 p.m. Alaska State Troopers responded to a report of an all-terrain vehicle accident near Quartz Lake Campground late June 29th. Troopers say Converse was driving the ATV down a bank onto the road when it rolled and landed on top of her. Troopers say Converse was not wearing a helmet at the time of the accident.
Weather is the suspected cause of a plane crash that killed 3 people in Broad Pass near Cantwell last week. The crash killed the pilot, 61-year-old Dale Hemman of Washington State, and 2 South Carolina passengers, 74-year-old John Ellenberg and 52-year-old Lori Buckner. Hemman was the operator of a flying tour group business called Let's Fly Alaska. He was leading a group of 19 planes from his base in Fairbanks to Homer when the crash occurred.
The woman who has been working with Mona Lisa Drexler in the Fairbanks North Star Borough Clerk's office for nearly 30 years might be Drexler's replacement. Nancy Ashford Bingham has been recommended for the job by a search committee. The Borough Assembly will make the decision. Ashford Bingham has worked in the clerk's office for 29 years. The committee reviewed 27 applications and interviewed 5 candidates.
The Alaska Redistricting Board announced it will meet for 8 consecutive days beginning today as it works to produce its final election blueprint. The hectic schedule of meetings, including possible day-long sessions Saturday and Sunday, came after a number of critics testified at public hearings in Anchorage, here in Fairbanks, and in Juneau that the courts should dismiss the board and appoint a nonpartisan master to draw the state's 40 legislative districts. That same demand, as we've reported, had earlier been made by 2 Fairbanks residents, Gerald Riley and Ron Dearborn, who successfully challenged the board's 2011 plan in a civil lawsuit that went to the Alaska Supreme Court. The courts so far have allowed the 5-member board to remain in business, though they've increased their scrutiny of the redistricting process, now 2 years behind schedule.
All right, when we come back, Michelle Abear has another edition of the Garden Report.
That's right, and Fairbanks still is an expensive place to live. Those stories are next. Stay with us. Welcome back. A longtime oil industry researcher says the Alaska legislature never looked at the bigger picture, shortcomings, and other so-called misleading data when it approved a multi-billion-dollar oil tax cut earlier this year. Richard Feinberg gave that assessment and much more during a question-answer presentation held Monday evening at the Noel Wien Library. Feinberg, who favors a petition drive for a vote on repealing the oil tax reduction, says the legislature, for example, never examined consistent record of profits in Alaska by ConocoPhillips, embracing commentary that met their approval, but hiding their actual performance around the state. Despite a heated exchange with State Representative Tammy Wilson, who voted for the oil tax cut and defended the legislature, Feinberg says he defends his statistics as well and says repealing the legislation is a must.
Absolutely should be repealed, and I believe repealing would be simpler and better long-term than letting it go into law, because the oil companies are always concerned about their relationship with their hosts, and so the notion that we could change it later still adds to uncertainty, and if they overdid it, they don't like to do that. They say, well, they've overdone it.
For the second quarter of this year, Fairbanks is still one of the most expensive places in the country to live. According to the latest cost of living index from the Fairbanks North Star Borough Community Research Center, with the average being 100%, Fairbanks is at 135. While groceries and housing are about 30% above average, utilities are at 221 in Fairbanks compared to the average of 100. Overall, it did cost more to live in New York and Boston than it does here in Fairbanks.
An Air Station Kodiak helicopter crew took 2 members of an explosive ordnance disposal unit to the site of an unexploded bomb near Shignick, Alaska. The EOD's team's job was to destroy the device. The bomb was found on a remote Alaska Peninsula beach. Soldiers blew up the 110-pound aerial bomb that washed up. The bomb disposal unit members are from Fort Richardson in Anchorage.
Road work continues on the new bridge located on Illinois Street. The street will be closed to both north and southbound traffic, as well as pedestrians at the Noyes Slough Bridge on Monday and Wednesday from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. Business and residential access, however, will remain open. In the past few weeks, Illinois Street has been closed for construction of the bridge to southbound traffic and will continue to remain closed when the northbound lane will open from next week's closure. Motorists are asked to continue to look for detour signs as the construction continues.
With the hot temperatures and a little rain, crops are now needing to be pollinated. Here's Michelle Abear to show you the correct technique.
Hi, I'm Michelle Abear from the University of Alaska with your weekly garden tip. Well, your garden should be growing really well this summer with all the good sunshine and the little bit of rain we have gotten so far. So I'm going to give you some tips today on making sure you get the most out of those plants. So let's talk about tomatoes first. Your tomatoes should be flowering, but they don't necessarily produce tomatoes unless you can ensure that the male pollen gets on the female part of the plant. So what you want to do is go ahead and shake that plant. That way the pollen gets where it needs to go and you're going to have a lot of fruit. And while you're in there shaking your plant, look for those suckers, keep them off. The suckers are the little branches that grow in the axis of the leaf, and those keep the plants from producing good large tomatoes. Now, the same thing goes for peppers. The male and female parts are in the same flower, but you need to make sure you shake those as well. Squash is a little bit different. The male and female flowers are actually on different stalks. You want to look for the male flowers, which don't have a little fruit at the base. Go ahead and pull those off, and that'll be your pollen stick. And then you want to stick those in the center of the female flowers, which have fruit at the base. So it's like you have a baby zucchini shown here with a giant flower on top. And that's how you know you have a female flower. With pumpkin, you're going to see a baby pumpkin, and with cucumber, a baby cucumber. So go ahead and play like you're the bee and go around and do that pollination. Now, for those of you that like basil, you may note that basil will grow up really tall with few leaves. But if you want that to be bushy and produce lots of basil, you want a pinch. So go up to the very top of the growing shoot and make sure you pinch off the little baby leaves that are starting to form. If you do that, the plant's going to get really bushy and you'll get more basil. Well, this has been Michelle Abear with your weekly garden tip. Please join me next week when we'll be going into the potato patch and finding out how to increase potato production.
Gardening tips brought to you by Fairbanks Stump Grinders.
Joe?
Yeah.
Either one of you guys got a green thumb?
No, my thumb is nowhere near green.
Absolutely. So what's going on in sports now?
Yeah, a very popular race in Alaska had its record broken. The record was over 30 years old. You'll find out who the new record holder is, and we go out to the racetrack out of the break for the North Pole Speedway's Military Appreciation Night. That and more coming up next. Hello, Interior sports fans. Joe Cook here, and the sports seat for you this evening is TGIF, so let's kick off your weekend with some sports. There was some 4th of July racing going on in the interior last night. The North Pole Speedway had its Military Appreciation Night. It was a good, clean night of racing for the most part in the bandos class. Jessica King and Justin Salmons alternated wins in the first 2 heats. But in the main event, Salmons had some body issues. His back hatch flew off, and he finished the race without it. But Jessica King seized control. She captured the checkered flag, and the Legends class, Al Tradle got close, winning the first heat, and then Rod Hawker, he led the way in heat 2. But in the main event, it was all Dave Bailing. A caution was out after Ryan Cody's car spun out for the second time, causing a bit of an accident, but he would be done for the night. Bailing punched it after the restart, and no one could catch him for the main event checkered flag. Sean O'Hara was second, and rookie Austin Cody, who came off his first career win in Legends last week, finished third.
Me and Justin are really close competitors. We're always really close, like during the whole race, so I like racing with Justin. It gives me some competition.
I came around the corner on the caution and I saw it. I was like, oh, well, son of a cracker, it just popped off. But it gives a good show to everybody that's out there watching, going, hey, look at that motor. And then they could see the shocks and everything running as well.
Pretty much stay clean. That's our goal every night, is to stay out of accidents and finish every race.
Definitely improving, getting used to the track a little bit. It's all about handling in the line out there. If you keep your line, you won't get past, you'll make time, you'll end up being a faster driver.
A look at the current point standings. Justin Salmons is leading the bandos class, but Stephen Hunter has been consistent. He is 54 points behind. Jessica King is 4th. In the Legends class, Dave Bailing is your top driver with 1,791 points. Al Tradle is 80 points behind. Daniel Slayton is 3rd, followed by the father-son combo of Ryan and Austin Cody, who round out the top 5 in Legends. After suffering consecutive losses for only the second time this summer, your Alaska Gold Panthers respond with a high-scoring victory last night in Palmer on Herman Brothers Field. The Gold Panthers reel off 14 runs against the Mat-Su Miners. Alaska's offense was just on point. They were up 13-0 at the top of the 4th. 9 of 10 players had at least one hit. David Edwards went 3 for 6, including a 2-run home run, his first of the season, a double, and 3 runs scored to lead the Panthers. 5 pitchers allowed just 5 hits. Starter Mikey Ramirez had a game-high 5 Ks. The Gold Panthers win 14-4 and are now tied for second place in the ABL with the Miners. The Panthers will stay on the road for their next 3, tonight and Saturday at the Anchorage Glacier Pilots and Sunday at the Chugiak Chinooks. Sticking with baseball, some local baseball news. It was recently announced that the American Legion Baseball will expand as early as next summer. That means another Fairbanks team will be formed along with the 49ers and a new Fairbanks team. Teams are planned to pop up in Palmer, Kodiak, and maybe even Ketchikan. Currently, there are 12 Legion programs in the state, and there are 30 high school programs. A Legion summer baseball schedule really benefits high school players in terms of time. A typical high school baseball season is 10 to 15 games in 2 months. A Legion schedule gets 25 to 35 games in the summer. We'll have more information as it becomes available. History was made yesterday in Stewart. A record that stood 32 years was broken. Eric Strable of Anchorage set a new record in the 86 Mount Marathon. Strable finished the 3.5-mile arduous trek up and down a 3,022-foot mountain in 42 minutes and 55 seconds for his second title in 3 years. The old record was by Bill Spencer in 43 minutes and 21 seconds. Spencer finished 26 minutes later and congratulated Strable. Strable is a former SeaWolf skier and is a skiing coach at Alaska Pacific U. It was a record-setting race with 4 other runners finishing under 45 minutes. Ricky Gates of San Francisco finished in 43 minutes and 4 seconds for second place and second fastest of all time. But Gates did all this despite dislocating his shoulder at the base of the mountain after a fall. Christy Marvin, a Glen Allen high school teacher, won the women's title, coming in at 53 minutes and 20 seconds. Marvin was the first rookie to win her debut marathon since 2004. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. For more KTVS Sports, just go to Twitter, YouTube, Webster11.com. You can also get our mobile app. Stay cool, Alaska. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back into the Fairbanks Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again for a look at weather, and it was a pretty nice day, except for a few showers here and there. The showers got to help our situation with the weather, with the fires, I should say, and it looks like looking at some more showers tonight. I'll show you that on the radar in just a little bit. Let's look at our photograph for tonight. This one's sent in by Fred Sheen, and he was able to capture the Black Rapids area. Nice photograph, Fred. If you have a photograph to share, by all means, send it to me at Mike Schultz at KTVF11.com. Out at the airport right now, 64 degrees after a high of 66. The low last night, a chilly 47 degrees. Record high 91, 1986. Record low 40 in 1905. Your sunrise and sunset, 21 hours and 6 minutes of daylight. That's a loss of 5 minutes from yesterday. Our latest satellite picture, as you can see here, is not working too well. Evidently, we have some problems with the technicals. We'll go on to the latest radar and zoom in on the area and show you that we are looking at lots of widespread showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm here and there. They're all moving from the south, southwest over the Fairbanks area, so that's why I'm expecting more rain showers this evening and then better news for tomorrow. What's going on across the rest of the state right now? Well, it looks like more rain across southeast Alaska around the Juneau area. That is coming to an end. Cloudy skies from Anchorage to Kodiak to Cold Bay. Over the west coast, Nome at 46 degrees, a little rain shower activity there. Barrow at 51 degrees, at Fort Yukon at 66. Lower 48 weather, again, hot temperatures are the key factor. 93 degrees in Las Vegas, 111, I should say in Las Vegas, Salt Lake City 93, Las Vegas 111, and 106 degrees in Phoenix. St. Louis 84, thunderstorms around the New Orleans area, and nice weather over the northeast. On the satellite and radar, you can see again a real strong flow of moisture coming off the Gulf of Mexico. Those folks are just getting pounded with lots of rain and a lot of widespread shower and thunderstorm activity across the Rocky Mountains, right on down to the southwest, spinning around an area of low pressure here. What it all means for next week? Again, the jet stream remaining well to the north, but mainly zonal from the west to the east. Hot temperatures across the central portions of the country, very humid over the southeast, and continuing dry across the western half of the country. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. In the northern sections, cloudy skies in Barrow, rain showers at Nome, and lots of sunshine in Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at, for the most part, scattered clouds for Fairbanks and Haiti, while over southeast Alaska, over southeast Alaska, we'll tell you that one more time. The rain showers over southeast Alaska, we'll get there right now, real quickly, all right, have come to an end, and there should be mainly cloudy skies for Ketchikan. Over to the southwest, we're looking at rainy, it's Bethel and Cold Bay with showers for Kodiak. And while over south central sections, it looks like scattered showers for Anchorage and Homer, and more like rain in Valdez. Okay, here's your forecast for the Fairbanks area. As we look at the overnight low, 47 degrees, isolated showers, thunderstorms, still some smoke, mainly over the Chena Hot Springs area. Not a bad Saturday though, lots of sunshine, less clouds and smoke. In the extended forecast, again, temperatures a little bit warmer by next week, then cooling down a little bit, and then mid-70s once again by Thursday. Showers off and on, actually a little better chance of seeing some rain for Monday into Tuesday. That'll help the fire situation. And the overnight lows also right around 50 degrees. So all in all, a good weekend, and then a wet beginning for the first part next week.
Yeah, not too bad.
Looks nice.
Yeah, we could use all the moisture we can right now.
Definitely.
Sure.
Shabby.
All right, thank you, Mike. That will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. As always, we are glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, the latest on today's deadly clashes in Egypt. That's next with Carl Quintanilla.
And you can join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at Webster11.com. Good job, Stephanie.
If you were not at the 4th of July festivities yesterday at Pioneer Park, you missed a really good sight. But Stephanie was there, and she captured it for us on video. We're going to share it with you tonight. Those vintage planes that flew over the festivities. So have a good night, everyone. We'll see you back here at 11.